Hello, beautifuls. Today's subject is one that excites me, and it never gets old. Not talking about it, not experiencing it. It is exciting, and so I would like to share it with you, and that is synchronicity. I understand that for many, this is not a familiar concept. And it's because it doesn't fit into the mental framework and labels of our society. But thankfully, slowly, this is changing. The definition of synchronicity, and I'm just going to read it, is the simultaneous occurrence of events which appear significantly related but have no discernible cause connection. So I'm sure each and every one of you listening has had an experience in life where you experienced a connection that happened over a period of time, a similarities of answers or statements or numbers or words that were shown to you from various sources that were in no way connected logically, but yet they all connected with one answer or with one single thing. That is synchronicity. For many people, they interchange the words happenstance, coincidence, and serendipity. Yet, those four terms have something similar in common, yet synchronicity is very different and very specific from those other terms. One example of synchronicity could be, let's say you were trying to discern between two venues in which to have a function. Let's say it's a wedding. And on your way to work, you see on one of the street signs, one of those little green street signs, one of the names of the venues. And you think, that's weird. That's, I couldn't decide. We've got pros and cons on both sides. They're both good venues. And then later in the afternoon, you overhear a conversation at the supermarket. And it's two people talking about an event they just attended at the venue in which you saw the name on the street sign. That is an example of synchronicity. Now, synchronicity comes in all shapes, sizes, forms, colors, numbers. It is unlimited in how the universe can speak to you and does speak to you. These unexplainable circumstances and events and connections cause us to pause. They allow us to step out of our self-absorbed 3D linear thinking to become curious, to be filled with awe and wonder that there is something much larger at play than us, than what we can control, than what we can even imagine. And to realize that we are not the center of the story. We are not the center of the universe, but we are connected to everyone, everything, and every particle in the universe. And it works in tandem to share necessary information with us. I'm sure you're familiar with the term, nothing happens by accident. And I am sure that there are some people right now rolling their eyes. And that actual phrase was something that I experienced in a form of synchronicity. And I too didn't like that phrase, nothing happens by accident. But when we understand energy, energy cannot be in motion without affecting something else. It's science. It's not just a woo-woo belief, it is science. And I had a personal experience with this. I was in an accident. And the day and the night that it had happened, I could not get out of my linear 3D thinking. I thought this was the most horrible thing. And yes, I was in pain, and it was not a pleasant circumstance. But I will tell you that accident was synchronistic. The accident, it ended up writing off my car, which I thought was unfortunate. But I ended up getting a financial settlement that allowed me to invest in my future in a time that I really needed the finances to do so. I was gifted another car. My injuries had me seeing specialists and therapists that found an issue that had been a cause of problems that I had been experiencing for most of my life, which would never have been discovered if it wasn't for that accident. And all of those events ended up in one beautiful answer for me. And it was in that moment that I was so incredibly humbled to realize that our perspective is so short-sighted, and that there is so much at work and at play working with and for us. And as you can tell, I got a little emotional there. I'm very passionate about this because many people have tried to explain it. It happens in our life all the time, every day. It's our choice whether to embrace it as a message from the universe or not. It is those moments that once we start on our journey of self-transformation, self-awareness, self-love, that we recognize these events more as being highly symbolic, being deeply personal in nature, and being profoundly spiritual. And that is why it might appear that people who are on that spiritual path, that self-awareness path, experience more synchronicities. But it is really because they are more present, aware, and conscious in the moment. Many people have tried to explain it. Spiritually, some people explain it as it is our soul or our higher self that is collaborating with universal energies in order to send us a message. The term was actually coined by Carl Jung, who came up with the term after having many discussions with Albert Einstein. Scientists today are studying synchronicity, although they don't call it synchronicity. They call it quantum physics, and specifically entanglement. Economists call it confirmation bias. Even skeptics have their own name for it, apophenia, which is the seeing of connections in random patterns that and meaningless data. So whether they believe it or not as being meaningful, they still understand that there are these sequences, these events that happen. And no matter which perspective you choose, the events will continue to happen. But remember that meaning only comes from within. Thank you so much for showing up today. And until we speak again, please be well.